We've now defined our why. We know what motivates us in our business, as well as for our clients, they know how to interface with us, what motivates us to succeed with them. We put together our targets, both personally and professionally. What do we want to achieve within the specific period of time that we've set in our targets? We've set our SMART goals. Now, in order to hit our SMART goals, we need to know what our starting point is. We need to know our runway. Where are we starting from? Well, that's great. We've put together our personal financial plan, so we know exactly where we sit from the amount of time that we need in order to break off the ground. There's one piece that we need to add in order to connect our goals and our actions, and that's an understanding of our time. We all have our personal obligations and our personal dreams and ambitions, and that's why we put together that nice list so we know exactly what we want to achieve within the year. That has amount of time that's associated. We need to go through and see, well, how much time are we going to allot for those activities? In other words, how much time do we have left to pursue our business opportunity here? And then we can start to adjust our time on that basis. Because remember, we have to put the most important blocks in our time first and then start filling in everything afterwards. So we're going to use a spreadsheet in order to break down our time blocking on a daily, weekly, monthly, and annualized basis. So if you look at the module here, you can see attached is a spreadsheet called the time blocking exercise. I'd like you to take a moment, open that up so that we can go through this at the same time and start filling out what time do you have set for the mortgage business. 8,760 hours. It's a very important number for you. What that number does is it denotes exactly how many hours you have in a 1 year's time period so that you know what's the maximum you can spend on your time blocking. When we look at our spreadsheet here, we can see 24 hours times 365 gives us that 8,760. When we're doing this spreadsheet, we say, okay, well, because this is a revenue target style spreadsheet, we're going to say, well, what's the income goal? Now that might be $1 million, that might be 50,000. We're just choosing our 100,000 as an arbitrary number. If we take the 100,000 and we divide it by 8,760, we get $11.42 an hour. That's all we have to make. It's $11.42 an hour if we're working 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Now, that's not going to be something that's realistic because obviously we have other things that we want to do other than just work. So this spreadsheet, what it does is it's going to break those other things out so we can see, well, what do we need to earn on an hourly basis to get to that target? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say holidays, because I love starting off thinking about holidays. I loved, before I started doing time blocking, I've been self-employed since 2005. Before I started doing time blocking, the year would get ahead of me, and by the end of the year, I didn't take any holidays. And I'm like, oh, I'll take holidays next year. And the next year would get ahead of me, and I wouldn't take any holidays. And it was very hard to then look at the end of the year and say, well, why didn't I get that done? Well, it's because I didn't make it a priority. So in this spreadsheet, what we're going to do is we're going to take that time, we're going to allocate it, and we're going to suck it out of what we're going to do, and not include in our calculations of what we need to do in order to earn the income. So in here, we're going to budget that. We're going to say, okay, well, we're going to take 2 weeks holidays, which is 14 days a year. And then we're going to choose whether we're going to work weekends or not, because that's a serious impact to our business. As we can see here, well, if we don't work in weekends, that's 104 days a year that we are now taking out of our working cycle. If we add that back in, that can certainly change exactly what we have available for hours. But we're going to say we're not going to work weekends for now, and then we'll kind of do some juggling around on that afterwards. Right. So what that does then is it says, okay, well, on a weekly basis, that would mean on average we have 4 days a week is what's available for working because we've taken those holidays. We have 21 days a month is what we're looking at, or 247 days a year. That adds up to about 59.28 in the hours that we have left. So we've gone from 8,760 to now 5,928 hours left in our schedule. And we're going to keep on working our way down. So we can see here, well, that would mean then that if we're working all those, time frame and not allowing for anything else, we only need to make $16 an hour and change in order to hit it. But that's not realistic because on a daily basis, we have things that we have to do that's outside of our work. So the first thing that we're going to look at is, well, sleep. I mean, everybody needs to get some sleep. I mean, some of us sleep a little bit less, and some people sleep a little bit more. And so we're just going to put the average of, say, 8 hours a day in sleeping. Then we're going to have all the things that we need to do in order to hit our targets that are our personal targets. We need to eat. That's something that is, realistic that we need to do. We need to spend time with our family if we want to maintain a relationship. Uh, Exercise for some of us is extremely important on a daily basis. Learning and development, that's something that we want to be working on as well. So maybe we want to put some time into there on a daily basis. Social, we want to go out and spend time with our friends. So that's on a daily basis, but maybe weekly, you're looking at saying 2 hours a week, you're going to be out socializing with your friends. And you look at anything else, scroll on the Facebook, TikTok, all that other stuff that you might end up doing. This is just saying we're going to spend maybe 15 minutes a day. Now, I know some people spend a little bit more, but we're just going to throw some budgets in here. Housework, commuting, all these other things, watching Disney Plus, whatever it is. This means out of that 24 hours a day, we really don't have 24 hours, right? We have left for work. We've taken 16 hours out of that day. So now we have 8 hours that's left for us to work. So if we're saying, okay, well, if we might want to make $100,000 in that year, we need to be making about $50 an hour. So every hour we spend, we're spending $50. Because remember, when you're in your business, you're not only the person who's operating the business, you're also the chief of the business as well. So you kind of report to yourself. So when you're looking at the time that you're spending, you're earning it as well as receiving it. Your business is spending it, your business is receiving it. So just put those two hats on as you start looking at this spreadsheet. So now what we can see is we can see that we've set aside the time for all of our personal, but let's just say, for example, you have some other obligations. Say this is a part-time obligation or something that is going to pull you aside. So maybe you have some rental properties that are going to take some of your time. So let's take a look at adding some of those. So as we can see here, we've added another job, and we said that that job is going to cost us about 7 hours a day of our time. That would mean that we have 1 hour a day left to work on our business if we don't work weekends. So that would mean that we have, in that hour, if we want to earn the $100,000, which was our original goal, we need to work 247 hours a year at $404 an hour in order to achieve that. So those hours have got to be extremely effective. Now, for the case here, what we're going to do is we're going to back this out here and say, well, no, we're going to be full-time in this business in order to be successful. And then we're going to start breaking down our time on the basis of trying to make $100,000. This will just be our number. And again, this is not the number I'm asking you to stick to. This is just a frame of reference that we're going to use in order to have something that we can point at a straw man that we can work as we work through this spreadsheet. So we can see we need to, in order to hit our target, we need to work 1,976 hours at $50 an hour. And then, man, we've hit our target of $100,000. So in those hours, what are we going to do? How are we going to define what we're going to do in those time frames? So the next thing we're going to break out is our action plan.